In a blistering Fox News showdown, Meryl Streep unleashes a vicious attack on Melania Trump's marriage, exposing shocking secrets. Karoline Leavitt, the fiery White House press secretary, erupts in defense, igniting a clash that leaves the studio reeling. The studio lights burned hot as the Fox News anchor, Laura Ingraham, leaned forward, her voice sharp with anticipation. Tonight, we have an explosive face-off. Meryl Streep, legendary actress, and Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history. Welcome, both of you. The audience clapped, but the tension was palpable, like a storm about to break. Meryl, poised in a tailored blazer, gave a tight smile. Karoline, her blonde hair pulled back, sat ramrod straight, her eyes locked on Meryl like a hawk. Laura wasted no time. Meryl, you've been vocal about your disdain for the Trump administration. You're here to discuss Melania Trump's role as First Lady. Let's hear it. Meryl's smile vanished. She leaned into the microphone, her voice low but venomous. Let's be honest, Laura. Melania Trump is no First Lady. She's a prisoner in a sham marriage, a hostage to Donald Trump's ego. Everyone sees it. The way she flinches when he's near, the way she looks like she's counting the seconds until she can escape. There's no loyalty between them. It's a business deal gone sour, and America deserves to know the truth. The audience gasped. Karoline's jaw tightened, her fingers gripping the armrest. Laura raised an eyebrow. Those are strong words, Meryl. You're saying their marriage is a lie? Meryl didn't blink. It's worse than a lie. I've heard, from people close to the Trumps, people who've seen the cracks, Melania's been caught on private calls, sobbing to friends about how she's trapped. Donald's got his own secrets, too. Late-night meetings with advisors that aren't about policy, if you catch my drift. And those prenups? They're ironclad, designed to keep Melania silent. She's not a wife, she's a prop. The studio erupted in murmurs. Laura turned to Karoline, whose face was flushed with barely contained rage. Karoline, you're the voice of the White House. What's your response to these allegations? Karoline's voice was steel. Meryl, you're an actress, not a journalist. You're peddling gossip, not facts. The First Lady is a dignified, intelligent woman who's dedicated her life to serving this country. Your attack is baseless, fueled by your hatred for President Trump. You're trying to tear down a marriage to score political points, and it's disgusting. Meryl's eyes flashed. Don't lecture me, Karoline. I've been speaking truth to power since you were in diapers. America sees through the Trump facade. Melania's misery is plain as day. Karoline shot back, her voice rising. You don't speak for America, Meryl. I do. As press secretary, I represent the people, and they're sick of elites like you spreading lies. The First Lady is thriving, working on initiatives like Be Best, while you're out here playing a role in your own drama. The audience roared, some cheering, others jeering. Laura tried to interject, but Meryl cut her off, her voice sharp. Thriving? Karoline, open your eyes. Melania's barely seen in public. She's locked away in that gilded cage, and you're defending it. Do you even know what goes on behind closed doors? Karoline's lips curled into a fierce smile. I know more than you think, Meryl. And I know the First Lady's strength. You're projecting your own biases, assuming she's weak because she's elegant, because she's private. That's your mistake. Meryl leaned forward, her voice dripping with disdain. Strength? She's a shadow, Karoline. And those secrets I mentioned, they're not just rumors. I've heard about Donald's private accounts, funneling money to keep certain stories quiet. Stories about his loyalty or lack thereof. Care to comment? The crowd fell silent, hanging on every word. Karoline's eyes narrowed, her voice low and dangerous. You're treading on thin ice, Meryl. You throw around accusations with no proof, and you expect me to dignify them? The President and First Lady are united, and your smear campaign won't change that. Laura jumped in, sensing the escalation. Let's keep this civil, ladies. Meryl, you've made bold claims. Karoline, you're dismissing them outright. Can we find common ground? Meryl scoffed. Common ground? Not when the White House is built on lies, Karoline's voice boomed. The only lies here are coming from you, Meryl. And I'm not done setting the record straight. The air in the Fox News studio crackled with hostility as Meryl Streep leaned forward, her eyes blazing with defiance. The audience held its breath, sensing the next blow was coming. Laura Ingraham, perched at the anchor's desk, tried to steer the chaos. Meryl, you've got the floor. What's your response to Karoline's charge that you're spreading lies? Meryl's voice was sharp, cutting through the murmurs. Karoline, you're young, and maybe that's why you're so naive. You think you're defending Melania, but you're propping up a facade. I've spoken to people who've seen the Trumps' marriage up close. Melania's not just unhappy. She's desperate. I heard from a former aide who said she found Melania crying in her private suite, whispering about how Donald's controlling every move she makes. He dictates her schedule, her words, even her wardrobe. That's not a marriage, it's a dictatorship. The crowd gasped, some shouting in protest. Karoline's face was a mask of fury, her hands clenched into fists. Meryl, you're reciting fiction, she snapped. You're quoting unnamed sources, weaving a story to fit your narrative. The First Lady is a partner to the President, not a puppet. Your so-called aide doesn't exist, and you know it. Meryl's lips curled into a sneer. Oh, I know plenty. Karoline. Like the time Melania tried to renegotiate her prenup in secret, begging for an exit clause. Or how Donald's inner circle covers up his late-night calls to women who aren't his wife. You want to talk loyalty? There's none in that marriage. The studio erupted, boos mixing with cheers. Laura raised a hand, her voice firm. Meryl, those are explosive claims. Karoline, how do you counter that? Karoline's eyes burned with intensity. I counter it with the truth, Laura. Meryl's throwing mud, hoping something sticks. The First Lady has never wavered in her commitment to her family or this country. She's faced relentless attacks from people like Meryl, yet she carries on with grace. These stories about prenups and affairs, they're tabloid trash, and Meryl's sinking to that level to push her agenda. Meryl laughed, a cold, biting sound. Grace? Karoline, Melania's silence isn't grace, it's fear. I've heard about the non-disclosure agreements she's forced to sign, locking her into this charade. You're not defending her, you're enabling a lie. Karoline shot to her feet, her voice thundering. Enough, Meryl, you don't get to lecture me about enabling. You're the one exploiting a woman's private life for clout. I stand with Melania because I know her strength. She's not your victim to pity. She's a leader who's endured more than you'll ever understand. The audience roared, some chanting Karoline's name. Meryl's face flushed, her composure slipping. You're blind, Karoline, she hissed. You're so loyal to Trump you can't see the truth. Melania's trapped, and you're holding the key. Karoline leaned across the desk, her voice low and fierce. The only one trapped here is you, Meryl, in your own hatred. You're so obsessed with tearing down the president that you'll slander his wife to do it. I'm here for the American people, and they see through your act. Laura jumped in, her tone urgent. Let's take a breath, both of you. Meryl, you're doubling down on these allegations. Do you have anything concrete to back them up? Meryl's eyes narrowed. I have whispers from people who've seen the truth, Laura. People who've worked in that White House, who've heard the fights, seen the distance. Melania's living a lie, and Karoline's too deep in the Trump machine to admit it. Karoline smirked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Whispers, Meryl? That's what you're bringing to this fight? I deal in facts. The fact is, Melania Trump is a devoted mother, a tireless advocate, and a loyal wife. Your whispers are just noise. The crowd cheered, the energy tilting toward Karoline. Meryl's hands trembled slightly, her voice rising. Noise? You're dismissing the pain of a woman who's suffering. I'm speaking for her, Karoline, because you won't. Caroline's gaze was unrelenting. You're speaking for yourself, Meryl, and you're about to learn what happens when you cross a line you can't uncross. The Fox News set vibrated with barely contained fury as Meryl Streep's voice rose, sharp and unyielding. Her face was flushed, her eyes locked on Karoline Leavitt, who stood her ground, unflinching. The audience was a sea of murmurs, some leaning forward, others shouting support. Laura Ingram, sensing the powder keg about to ignite, leaned in. Meryl, you're clearly passionate, but Karoline's challenged your claims. What's your next move? Meryl's lips tightened, her voice ablade. My next move, Laura, is to stop pretending this is a debate. Karoline's not defending Melania, she's defending a myth. I've heard things you can't unhear. Melania's been seen slipping out of the White House at odd hours, meeting lawyers in secret. Why? Because she's plotting her escape from Donald's grip. And don't get me started on his side deals. Payments to silence women who know too much. That's the real Trump marriage, Karoline, and you're too loyal to see it. The crowd erupted, gasps and boos colliding. Karoline's eyes flashed with rage, her voice cutting through the noise. Meryl, you're desperate. You're spinning conspiracies with no proof, dragging the First Lady's name through the mud. Melania's private meetings, therefore, her charitable work, her advocacy. You're twisting her dedication into something sinister because you hate her husband. It's pathetic. Meryl slammed her hand on the desk, her voice booming. Pathetic? What's pathetic is you parroting White House talking points, Karoline. I'm not the enemy here. Melania's trapped in a marriage where Donald's paranoia runs the show. I've heard about his trackers, people he pays to watch her every move. She's not a wife, she's a prisoner, and you're complicit. The audience roared, split between jeers and cheers. Laura's voice was sharp. Karoline, Meryl's doubling down. Your response? Karoline's smile was icy, her tone lethal. Meryl, you're not just wrong, you're reckless. The First Lady is a free woman making her own choices. You're inventing trackers and secret plots to fuel your vendetta. I've seen Melania's resolve up close, her commitment to her family and this nation. You're attacking her to hurt the president, but you're only exposing your own bias. Meryl's laugh was bitter, her eyes blazing. Bias? Karoline, I'm calling it like I see it. America sees it too. Melania's hollow eyes, her forced smiles. She's a hostage to Donald's ego, and you're too blinded by loyalty to admit it. Or maybe you're scared to cross him. Karoline leaned forward, her voice a low growl. Scared? Meryl, I'm not the one shaking here. You're throwing accusations like a cornered animal, hoping to land a hit. I'm not afraid of you or your lies. I stand for the truth, for Melania, for the American people. You? You're just chasing headlines. The studio buzzed, the crowd's energy tilting toward Karoline. Meryl's face twitched, her composure cracking. Headlines? I'm fighting for a woman who can't speak for herself, Karoline. You're the one hiding behind a podium, selling a fairy tale. Melania's suffering, and you're enabling it. Karoline's voice thundered, silencing the room. Enabling? Meryl, you're the one exploiting her for your crusade. The First Lady doesn't need your pity. She's stronger than you'll ever know, and I'm proud to defend her. Your stories are fiction, and America's not buying it. Laura tried to intervene, her tone urgent. Ladies, let's focus. Meryl, you've made serious allegations. Karoline's called them fiction. Can we get to the core of this? Meryl's voice was shrill, her hands trembling. The core? The core is that Melania's trapped, and Karoline's too deep in the Trump cult to care. I've heard about Donald's threats, how he's warned her she'll lose everything if she leaves. That's the truth you're ignoring. Karoline's eyes narrowed, her voice steady but fierce. The truth, Meryl, is that you've got nothing but rumors, No names, no evidence, just venom. I'm done letting you slander the First Lady. You want a fight? You're about to lose it. The Fox News studio was a pressure cooker, the air thick with rage as Meryl Streep's voice trembled with fury. Her accusations against Melania Trump hung like smoke, and Karoline Leavitt's piercing gaze met her head-on. The audience was electric, their shouts and claps fueling the fire. Laura Ingraham, her face taut, tried to regain control. Meryl, Karoline's called your claims baseless. You've got one last chance to make your case. Go. Meryl's eyes were wild, her voice a raw edge. My case? It's not a case, Laura. It's the truth. Melania's a ghost in her own life, chained to Donald's ambition. I've heard from staff who've seen her break down, pleading for freedom. Donald's got her under surveillance, tracking her calls, her meetings. And those payoffs I mentioned? They're real, Laura. Money to bury his betrayals. Karoline can deny it, but America knows a cage when they see one. The crowd erupted, some jeering, others cheering. Karoline's face was stone, but her eyes burned. She leaned forward, her voice a controlled blaze. Meryl, you're unraveling. You've got no proof, no names, just a vendetta dressed up as compassion. The First Lady is no victim. She's a force, working for children, for families, while you peddle gossip to tear her down. You're not saving her, you're shaming her, and it's beneath you. Meryl's hands shook, her voice rising to a shout. Beneath me? Karoline, you're the one propping up a lie. Melania's trapped, and you're too loyal to Trump to care. I'm speaking for every woman who's been silenced. Every woman you're failing by defending this sham. Karoline stood, her voice booming, silencing the room. You don't speak for women, Meryl. You speak for yourself, for your hatred of the president. I'm the one standing for Melania, for the truth. She's not your prop for a performance. She's a wife, a mother, a leader, and I'll be damned if I let you drag her name through your mud. The audience roared, chants of, Karoline, echoing. Meryl's face crumpled, her voice cracking. You're blind, Karoline, blind and complicit. Melania's suffering, and you're cheering for her jailer. Karoline's smile was fierce, her tone unyielding. The only one suffering here is you, Meryl. You came to fight, but you brought lies, and I brought facts. The First Lady's stronger than your stories, and America sees it. You're done here. Laura jumped in, her voice sharp. Meryl, Karoline's challenged every claim. Do you have anything solid to back this up, or are we at an impasse? Meryl's eyes darted, her breath ragged. Solid. I have the truth, Laura. The truth of a woman trapped, a marriage in ruins. You can't spin that away, Karoline, no matter how loud you shout. Karoline's voice was calm, deadly. I don't need to spin, Meryl. The truth speaks for itself. Melania Trump is thriving, and your lies can't change that. You've lost this fight, and you know it. The crowd's cheers were deafening. The tide fully turned. Meryl's face was ashen, her hands gripping the desk. She stood abruptly, her voice a hoarse whisper. I'm done here. You're all complicit, every one of you. She tore off her mic, the clatter echoing, and stormed toward the exit, her heels clicking furiously. The audience booed, some shouting after her as the studio doors slammed shut. Laura turned to Karoline, her tone awed. Karoline, you held your ground. Any final words? Karoline sat, her voice steady, triumphant. Just this, Laura. The First Lady is a woman of strength, and I'm proud to defend her. Meryl came to divide, but the truth unites. America initially, America stands with Melania. The crowd erupted in applause, the studio shaking with approval. Karoline's words lingered, a beacon of resolve. As the cameras panned out, social media was already ablaze. Posts hailing Karoline as a conservative hero, her defense of Melania, trending nationwide. Meryl's exit, meanwhile, sparked a firestorm, her reputation taking a hit as clips of her meltdown went viral. The confrontation was over, but its echo would resonate, with Karoline emerging as a voice of a new generation.